Hello and welcome to this product update live stream. My name is Bård. I have with me Vasil, which is lead front-end engineer at Crystallize.
Yeah. Hi everyone. I'm really happy to join board for this live stream today.
And this is something we've been waiting for quite some time. It's a big piece of the puzzle of content modeling in Crystallize, pun intended. And the headline for today is basically doing composable content modeling, and we'll get into the nitty-gritty of that. Basically, we have released today a new concept in Crystallize called pieces, and we're going to dive into some of the possibilities that this unlocks, and we're going to focus on reusable pieces of structure to make it more efficient when you're doing modeling, but also to unlock some things that were not possible before. So we'll dive into some pretty advanced examples here. Should we just jump right into it, Vasil? Let's start with a super basic example of reusable content structure.
Yeah.
So
let's say, for example, that we have like a SEO component where it contains a few smaller pieces inside, right? And we want to kind of combine those into one component that's going to be eventually reusable. So how we can do that? So we can use the new concept that we just introduced. That are the pieces, right? So the way that we can add a piece here, as you can see, I'm currently on the shapes homepage. So either we can add it from here, or we can use the plus sign at the top. Cool. So I'll create a piece which is called the CEO. And what we want that piece to contain is really just a simple title. Then we want to have a rich text, which is description. And then we want to have an image.
And this is basically the meta tags that you want for the web, so that you can editorially change what are the title tag, the meta description, and the OG share images. That's basically what we're diving into here.
Yeah, and then I'll just go and create the piece.
There's a massive echo here, so let's see if we can remove that. I'm not sure which side that is on.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, if you test Vasil, just
yeah. How about now? Still echoing, or?
Not sure. I'll at least put on a headset just to make sure that we don't have echo from my side. At least now, I don't think it's possible to create echo from my end.
I hope it's not. Yeah, let's see.
Anthony doesn't hear echo. Then maybe it's two windows with the video playing there. But anyhow, let's move on and hope that it's fixed. So this is kind of this, let's say, the simplest piece of reusable content we have here for SEO, and just to show the example. And what we have done now is to create the structure quite similar to a shape in itself, right? So this is a shape that you can't really create unless you create it as part of a product itself, or a folder or a document. Of course, it works on any type of shapes there. If you want to use this now, Vasil, what would be the approach then? So
yeah, so we can use pieces in a few different ways. Kind of the straightforward solution here is really just to get the piece and add it to a shape. But also what we can do with pieces, we can use one piece into another piece. and we're going to look into this kind of a little bit later. But for now, let's start with, let's say, this shape that I have here, which is called book. And what you can see here at the bottom, actually, we have this meta chunk, which exactly consists of the same fields that we have for the SEO piece, which is title, description, and image. And what is kind of interesting here is that if you want to have this chunk to multiple shapes, what you need to do today, actually, or before today, you need to create this chunk in each of these shapes, right? And then eventually, if you want to extend or remove some fields, then you need to go back to each of these shapes and do that manually, which is kind of a lot of work, and it's error prone as well. So what we can do is that here, I will just go and remove this. And then instead, I will add our new SEO piece over here. So as you can see here on the right-hand side, where we have all the components, structure and non-structure, we have also all the pieces that we can use. So I'll just get the piece and I'll drag and drop it on the screen. And that's pretty much it. So now I will go and update. And so now we have the piece SEO on this shape that we can just it will appear there, and we can use it.
That's nice, and of course we'll show the editing side of it later. But so this is a super simple example, but we have to start somewhere. And the next step is really to dive into a little bit more complex pieces, and let's do two quite common scenarios. And the first one is marketing wise. Let's say you have a product and you want the hero of the product to be configurable. Maybe it should have a big banner image, a headline, and then one or more call to actions. And then alternatively, what if you would like to have the similar setup but configured with the video? So different components here, it's only one component different and using the same structure. But as an example here, we have cheated and created two pieces, which are, again, it's a rather simple structure where we just have text line for the headline. We have an image for the hero, alternatively video on the video hero, and then we use a chunk with a repeatable structure inside this piece. This is also new, right? So that you can have a chunk in a piece. And here it's two text lines. It could have been maybe a relation to, if you want to have an internal link being created. So I guess that's another example, and we'll see how we can stitch that together on the product. But if you take the other example here, Vasil, because it's super relevant when you're doing e-commerce, right? So you have different types of
So here we have different types of information that we want to group. And in this case, we have properties. And once we can talk about like food properties, but the other time we can talk about electric properties. So what you see here on the screen is actually the piece that we created for the electric properties. And actually what it contains, it has two chunks inside, as you can see. And different properties are just grouped under the different chunks. So the first one is the physical dimensions, and this just describes the physical dimension for the electric appliance. And the other one is just power, describing the power and the voltage. And this is just a way where we can have, as Bort, you said, like a piece that has like a chunk inside that is grouping different components.
Yeah, and you can also open the numerics there to show that we have also, if you click on the width or height, for example, that we've added some units, millimeters and centimeters, so that you can be precise in the specification of how many volts, how many watts, etc. So, of course, you can add more properties, but it's a starting point for describing an electrical type of product. Okay, that's one type, but then
then this is the other type of properties, and kind of the way that we want to combine them under a piece. And this is like the food properties. As you can see here, we have like 4 different components. 3 of them, of course, are relation to different components which describe the allergies, the traces of, and free of. But maybe what we can do here as well, again, if you want to group kind of these relations into a chunk, because they're sitting as one, right? So
Yeah.
we'll get this.
And I think this is a good practice. It gets a little bit more nested as a data structure, but also editorially, you group them together. And similar to what we did on the electric properties, we just grouped allergens, and which we also can open to take a look. If you click on the allergens here in the chunk, which is and this is a modeling pattern. We'll do an older example in the end also from a similar setup, but where you have using the accepted shapes and a quick select folder to basically have richer, let's call it enums or kind of specification type of content. I really like this type of modeling editorially. It's really good, and you can of course then also extend and translate, and you're very flexible on the actual egg or nuts or the type of allergens you're talking about there. So okay, what we have managed so far then, and again we cheated, we created these 4 pieces up front, is to describe something in marketing hero, like how you want to market the header of the product, so to speak, and then down into the actual properties of it. And this is something that is very common, that you have different types of products that have very different types of properties. So this unlocks some good possibilities that we can dive into, because now we haven't exposed it. For example, on the product shape here, right? It's nothing has changed on the product shape.
Let me save this actually. Cool. Yeah. So this really nothing changed on the product shape, and that's where we're gonna actually add the pieces and kind of try to explain different type of products using the same shape, which is the product. Okay, so let's start maybe with the banner. And to create the banner, again, here we have the choice, either we want to be the image banner or want to be a video banner. And for that, we can use a choice component. We will just name it banner. And here we can name it actually hero, because that's going to be the hero banner.
Yeah.
And here we can add, here we can add the image hero, and then we can add the video hero. So this is the first choice that we can create for this product, which type of hero banner we want to have. Then the second choice that we can make here is about the properties, and that depends if the product that we create is a food, for example, we will add the food properties, or if it's some of electrical appliance, we will just add the electrical properties. So let's add another choice here, properties, and we can add again the food, keep talking from the wrong side, food properties and the electric properties. Cool. And then one final thing that we can do here, we can add actually the CO piece at the bottom as well, where we can provide some CO information for the product.
Nice. And here it makes sense that we have defined the SEO piece once, and you have reused it in the book and the product here. So that makes a lot of sense. Okay, so now we've done some modeling, and I'm kind of curious to what's the effect for me editorially if I'm going to create a new product as an editor.
Cool, let's do that. So I'll move to the catalog here, where we have the products folder. And as you can see, currently it's empty. So I would suggest we first start creating a product which is some kind of food, maybe something that we can use with the shapes that we prepared for that. So maybe, Bort, like what do you like to eat?
Burgers, but I guess that's not the answer you want. Let's say pizza.
I think that's a good option, and everybody likes them. I'm sure about it. So we'll start here first by creating a pizza product. Over here, right? I will create a product, and it just happened that actually I have a few images here in my Lightbox that I can use for that. So I'll just grab the pizza, drag it over here. Then we'll go with the name. and we can even provide some description, but for now that's going to be a simple pizza. Cool. And what actually we get to see here is are our choices that we can make using the pieces, right? So the first thing that you see here is the hero choice. And now we need to make the choice if we want to have a hero banner, which is an image or a video. Let's say that in this case, we will go with the image hero. And it pops immediately the choice that has inside the piece. And here we have the headline and the image. We'll add an image, of course, over here to show in our banner. And then we have the CTA, which is the chunk that we created earlier, right? And then we'll just add a chunk, which is with the text of buy pizza. And then the URL is going to be something to the extent of buy pizza.
And here, what you have here is it's a repeating chunk inside a piece inside a choice, right? And of course, the URL here, it's text, could have been a relation, depends about your preferences. But so you can add more call to actions here. And this is also new.
Yeah, that's true. Cool. Moving down a bit, we get to the properties choice, right? And again, since the type of product we're creating is food, then we just choose the food properties. Here we have we can provide description, of course, for our food, and then we have the allergens. That's the choice, the chunk that we created to group different allergens. And when we add that chunk, we get to see actually all the items that we can choose inside. So let's say that the allergens in this case will be milk and sulfite. There will be traces of soya and nuts, and then 3 for shellfish, for example.
Yeah. And this is, I think, a quite interesting way of modeling, where we're actually using relations to a document that are pre-created in a folder, so that we can really reuse the description of milk. Right now it's an icon and a text, but of course you can add any property again to this. And it also editorially, in my opinion, quite nice to work with. And of course, now we have less than 7, I think, ingredients. So if you get more, you just get a search field, and then you can search for all of the ingredients that you have defined, or the allergens in this case.
Yeah. Cool. So once we kind of describe all the properties for our pizza, we can move to the CO finally here, and then we'll just go with the simple title. And of course, we can provide our image here at the bottom.
Nice.
Cool. I think this describes kind of the first product that we created with all its properties, but let's see how we can do kind of something similar, but for a different type of product, like a electrical supply. So I will go and I'll create a new product. This time, I think I will create a SMEC robot.
Which I guess nobody has seen before. We never used that in a demo.
Cool. So then I'll go create it, and here in my Lightbox I have like a few images that I can use for the SMEC robot. So I'll just add this. Then here we have a SMEC robot. We can provide description, and then again we go into our hero banner choice. So this time we can choose between image and video. I will go with the image option.
And of course here it could be, we just added 2 choices of each here. It could be many choices. So it just depends on how many types of, well, options do you want to provide for this type of content.
Yes.
So, but here are the repeating call to actions again, as we showed.
Yep. My robots, and then here we can have the URL again, or a relation to an item, as you said.
Yeah.
Cool. So this describes kind of the first part of the choice that we can do about the banner, and then if we go deeper into the next thing, which are the properties. Again, we need to choose what kind of product is that, and this is electrical property, right? So we choose the electrical properties. And as you can see here, we have the two chunks that are grouping the different properties. The first one is the physical dimensions. So we can provide that and say that this is like a 40 centimeters, and the height is also 40, let's say, 2 centimeters, the length 30, and then we choose centimeters, and the weight is like 5 kilograms. Cool. And then here we can provide also information about the power. So the effector, this will be like 800 watts, which is pretty fine for us. And then the voltage is going to be 230 volts in this case.
Pretty nice. So it's very different types of properties that you get. The structure is defined, it's reusable, and this also means that in the front end you can have one, let's say, route that renders a product, but then you can have just different components for the different variations of the pieces or the choices that you make from the specific piece here. So that's kind of the two main ways of using pieces, is either just as I call it inheritance, so that you just reuse some fields among several products, or also just to group it, or you can put it in a more complex context with inside a chunk, or in this case inside a choice, so that you get the polymorphism here, so that it changes structure or shape, not shape because it's a piece inside a shape, but the properties change according to how you choose this product to operate. So there's some new superpowers there for sure. I was thinking, because here we on the pizza we do have the ingredients here, and this is a question we often get. Also got it in the community Slack today, so thanks for that. So I'm thinking this was what we planned originally, but maybe I can show a quick example and try to experiment live.
Yeah, let's do that.
Because it can only break. That's the worst thing that can happen. Okay, so and of course, in many cases, you want to have ingredients as a text field and translate it, etc. Because it's simple, and maybe you don't have all the underlying data in a structured way. So, but if you want to really structure it, what I have prepared is I created a new shape called ingredient. We can take a look at it because it's not very complex. Of course, here you can add multiple properties and pieces and whatnot, but it's a shape of an ingredient. If you would be a different context, like ingredients in a recipe for a food store, of course you would make this a product, but now we're using it as a labeling or a specification context. And let's say I would like to provide an alternative way of doing ingredients. What could I do then? Well, I can basically create a repeating structure here of ingredients. Let's call it rich ingredients for the sake of it. Okay, so now I'm starting to think that this should be a repeating structure, and I'm interested in knowing the amount. Maybe we just not quantity. Let's just do percent. It could be grams or whatever. And I want ingredients to be an amount of something. So let's do a relation of the ingredient. And here I would like to limit this to only be used as an ingredient. It can only accept ingredients. And then also I would like to use quick select, which is, in my opinion, quite useful. And I'll just use the ingredients folder. Okay. So different way of modeling in a very semantic way, right? Because now we describe for the ingredients, what's the amount and what is the actual ingredient. Okay. kind of simple addition. We have saved this, so I'm just going to switch to my catalog, and I'll find the pizza that Vasil created. And what do we have here now? So we have the pizza, everything is as you just saw. And again, you can have more, second CTA URL. But the food properties has changed. Instead of doing like, soy, milk, and butter, whatever that would make, we can go down and see that we have rich ingredients as an alternative to just inputting text. And here I can add an ingredient. And actually, I would like to do one more thing on my ingredient. I would like to say that I'm not able to choose an SKU, and I want it to be exactly one ingredient, just to have some validation here. Then I'll just reload this guy. And then we see we have some validation here. Okay. So here we have an ingredient, and let's say it's 2% of soy, and it's 55% of milk, and 15% of peanuts. Yeah, whatever that makes as a dish or a product, but you're able to basically very semantically describe the ingredients in this product. Makes it useful if you want to be able to not just provide a label or a text line. You can actually link to a document, have a pop-up with details about the ingredient and so on. So this is really enabling some quite interesting modeling cases. And of course, the examples here are just a few of what you can do. You can combine pieces with choices, with chunks, and of course, you can play with it. As of now, it is in production in your own Crystallize tenant. We also were thinking, what about if I want this initial choice here as a hero? What if I would like this to be repeating? Because you might want to have several banners or several blocks on your landing page. Yeah, maybe
there is also a solution for that. There is a solution for that, but is coming up next.
Yeah,
this is something else that we're cooking.
Yeah, because the last part of this story is, of course, with combining chunks and choices, you can model a lot today. But we're also introducing a new component in the very near future, which is being worked on now. It's the repeating choice component, so that you can, in addition to what we showed here, you can also have a repeating structure of multiple choices. So giving even more power to modeling, especially useful for landing pages where you have different tiles you want to kind of stack on top of each other and have different embeddable components. But that's what's up next. Thanks for watching, and actually, since you watched all the way to the end, like and subscribe. Isn't that what they say? Would be nice with more subscribers there, and join us in the Slack community. We have an open Slack channel. You can discuss with Vasil, me, and the rest of the team, and check out the pieces and do some awesome content modeling. And I guess we will just end on that, and see you in the next one.
Bye.